As we move through the later chapters of our lives, many of us have had those quiet moments when the world slows down and a simple question rises in our hearts. Am I truly ready to meet the Lord? It is not a question meant to frighten us, but one that invites reflection. Faith is not something that stays still. It grows, it deepens, and it changes shape as the years pass. And the journey of the soul is far more personal than church attendance, ritual habits, or checking boxes of spiritual duty. It is quieter, more intimate, and often much more beautiful. I want to invite you into a gentle conversation, one that feels like we're sitting together at an old wooden table, a warm cup of tea between us, and a small cross catching the soft afternoon light. Because what I'm about to share isn't doctrine. It isn't a sermon. It's something I've heard countless men and women express throughout my years working with believers across the United States. And it all centers on something Jesus revealed long ago. Readiness for his return is not measured by what we know, but by the condition of our hearts. You see, many of us grew up in faith. We've walked with God through different seasons, but still wonder whether we've fully understood what he asks of us. A friend of mine, an older veteran in his 70s, once told me that what troubled him most wasn't aging or illness, but the fear that Jesus might return one day and find him unprepared. That thought stayed with me, because it wasn't just his fear. It was a quiet concern shared by so many who have traveled far on the road of life. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine your home, the one you've lived in for years. You care for it, you tidy it, you keep it running. But every now and then, little things escape your attention. A layer of dust on a shelf, a door that doesn't shut quite right, a bulb that flickers but doesn't fully go out. Our hearts are much the same. We live in them every day, but sometimes we fail to notice what needs tending. And that is where the difference lies, between believing in God and being ready to stand before him. The hidden condition Jesus spoke of is not about deciphering prophecy or predicting dates. It is not about anxiety or fear of the end times. What he invites us to notice are things we already know well: a humble heart, a watchful spirit, a faith that endures hardship, a life marked by love and obedience. These are things every one of us can live out, no matter our age or energy. For years, I've listened to older believers share their stories, people who have seen enough of life to understand how fragile it can be. Perhaps you felt that yourself. Friends move away, health shifts, families change, and suddenly you begin to see Scripture with new clarity. Jesus' call to stay awake, to keep our hearts soft, begins to make sense in a deeper way. A psychologist once told me that as people grow older, they stop searching for complicated explanations and start searching for peace. And it's remarkable, really, how Jesus' call to readiness brings peace, not fear. Because he never asked for perfection, only honesty, only a heart willing to walk with him. I remember listening to a widow share her journey after losing her husband. She said the loneliness was overwhelming at first, but one morning, while reading Scripture, she sensed Jesus whisper, "Keep your heart open. Stay awake." From that day on, she began paying attention, not to grand gestures, but to small choices: gratitude, patience, compassion. And in those small choices, she found herself drawing closer to God than ever before. I share that story because readiness for the Lord isn't found in dramatic moments. It is found in the simple rhythms of daily life. In the way you choose love even when tired. In the way you forgive even when it hurts. In the way you choose what is right even when no one sees. These are the quiet preparations of the soul. Jesus never meant for watchfulness to be a burden. He meant it to be a way of living with clarity, a way of waking each morning knowing you are a little closer to Him than the day before. A way of living that does not require the strength of youth, but the wisdom gained through years of living, loving, losing, and learning. And so, in this video, I'd like to walk with you through this hidden condition Jesus spoke of, not to weigh down your heart, but to bring peace to it. Because understanding this truth means understanding how to live a more meaningful, more grounded, more Christ-centered life, starting right now. And if you're ready, we can take that step together. When we talk about being ready for the Lord's return, many people imagine dramatic signs or global events. But Jesus, in His gentle and steady way, pointed us towards something much quieter. Something that happens far beneath the surface of our lives. He spoke about the heart, about the kind of faith that survives hardship, about living with awareness, humility, and love. These are not spectacular gestures. They are the quiet work of the soul. Let's begin where Jesus began, the condition of the heart. Our hearts are not static. They shift with every season of life. They soften through loss, deepen through love, and sometimes harden without us realizing it. And the state of the heart tells the truth about our closeness to God far more than our routines ever could. I often ask the people I counsel in ministry, when you speak to the Lord, does your heart still feel open? Older believers tend to answer honestly. They've lived long enough to abandon masks. They talk about their disappointments, their regrets, their questions. But they also speak about gratitude, unexpected comfort, and the desire to walk closely with God again. One man in his mid-60s told me he had been angry with God for years. He had lost his job, then lost his marriage, and felt abandoned. But one afternoon, while sitting alone in his cluttered garage, he sensed the Lord whisper, "I never left." That moment didn't instantly fix his life, but it opened his heart. And that opening was the first step toward readiness. You see, being prepared for Jesus doesn't begin with prophecy charts. It begins with a softened heart. After the heart, Jesus leads us to something just as important, a faith that endures. You and I both know that life has a way of testing belief. Anyone can trust God on a good day, but the faith Jesus looks for is the kind that holds on when everything feels uncertain. Maybe you've lived through a season like that, a frightening diagnosis, a painful loss, a long night of worry about your children or your future. In those moments, faith isn't about feeling strong. It's about clinging to God when strength is gone. A woman in Texas once told me, "I don't remember everything like I used to. I don't walk as fast as I once did. But I hold on to Jesus. I hold on every day." And I believe the Lord honors that, because He isn't looking for flawless believers. He's looking for faithful ones. Then Jesus turns our attention to something that often surprises people: obedience expressed through daily choices. As we age, we start to understand something profound. Love is proven not through words, but through actions. Time teaches us that kindness matters, integrity matters, small acts of goodness matter. And in the eyes of God, those simple choices carry eternal weight. Some older folks tell me, "I can't do big things for God anymore." But every time they say that, I remind them, the Lord never asked for big things. He asked for faithful things. A forgiving gesture, a gentle word, a moment of patience when frustration rises. These small obediences are the seeds of readiness. They shape the soul in ways sermons alone never could. And then we come to one of Jesus' most urgent instructions: watchfulness and discernment. The world today is loud. News cycles, fears, opinions, predictions, they all swirl around us. For many older adults, this constant noise becomes overwhelming. Jesus knew this. That's why he called us to a clarity of soul, a kind of spiritual alertness that doesn't feed anxiety, but brings peace. Being watchful doesn't mean pacing the floor at night. It means keeping your inner world calm, steady, and turned toward God. A physician I once worked with said that the greatest burden his elderly patients carried was not sickness, but confusion and fear. Yet, those who had learned to anchor themselves in God's presence walked through illness and uncertainty differently. They weren't shaken by every headline. Their hearts were trained to listen for what truly matters. Which brings us to the heart of it all: love and humility. If you live long enough, you begin to see that many things you once thought important fade with time. But love, steady, patient, selfless love, grows more precious. Humility, too, becomes a gentle teacher. It helps us look at ourselves honestly. It helps us see others with compassion. It softens our judgments and strengthens our grace. These two qualities, love and humility, are not optional. They are signs that the character of Christ is taking shape within us. And when they flow from our lives, even in small ways, they testify that the soul is ready. So, when Jesus speaks of a hidden condition, it isn't something mysterious or unattainable. It's simply a life illuminated by His presence, a heart that yields, a faith that doesn't quit, a pattern of choices shaped by obedience, a spirit that stays awake, and a life marked by love. These are not heavy burdens. They are invitations to peace. And they prepare us not just for His return, but for the kind of life we were always meant to live. As we reach the end of this reflection, I want to invite you to take a quiet moment for yourself. Let the noise of the day fall away. Let the weight on your shoulders loosen a little. Allow the words you've heard to settle gently into your heart, the way late afternoon sunlight rests on an old windowsill. Everything we've talked about today is not meant to be memorized or analyzed. It is an invitation, a soft, steady invitation from Jesus Himself, spoken in the language of love. Maybe you've lived through more than your share of joys and sorrows. Maybe you're in a season of life where you look back more than you look forward. But I want you to hear this clearly. With God, no moment is wasted, no journey is forgotten, and no soul is too far gone to be renewed. Jesus never asked you to be stronger than others or wiser than the world. He never asked you to predict the future or carry burdens meant for Him alone. He simply asked for an honest heart, a faithful spirit, and a willingness to walk with Him each day. He asked for love, quiet, sincere love, and a humility that keeps the soul open to His voice. Think of it this way. Have you ever taken an old photograph, one that had gathered dust over the years, and gently wiped it clean? Suddenly, the face you loved appears again, clearer and more vivid. Preparing your heart for the Lord is very much the same. You're not creating something new. You're simply uncovering what was always there. the image of God within you. Many older believers have told me they worry they're not good enough. But Jesus never measured readiness by perfection. He measured it by desire, by honesty, by the direction of the heart. If you can say, even in a whisper, "Lord, I want to walk with you," then you are already closer than you think. So don't see readiness for the rapture as a burden. See it as an opportunity, a chance to live more deeply, to love more courageously, to forgive more freely, to let the wisdom of your years become a gift to your faith. Imagine for a moment that Jesus appeared today, not to condemn, but simply to look at you the way a loving father looks at a child he cherishes. Would you step toward him? If your heart says yes, even quietly, then you are moving in the right direction. We don't know the day or the hour, but we do know this. Every breath we are given is a chance to practice love, to hold on to faith, to let go of resentment, to mend what is broken, and to walk a little closer with Him. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you for your honesty, your openness, and your willingness to reflect. I believe Jesus is looking at you with a tenderness deeper than words can express. And if you are hearing these words now, remember this: you are not walking alone. He is with you, here in this moment, in every heartbeat, in every quiet corner of your day. And when He returns, you will recognize His face not with fear, but with a peace you've carried inside you all along. May the days ahead bring you calm. May your heart stay open, and may your soul remain ready, not out of fear, but out of love for the one who loved you first. When you are ready, your journey of faith will continue unfolding, and Jesus will walk beside you every step of the way.